Okay. And now I have to merge two videos together because stupid alarm went off. All right. So I was saying that there are different HTTP verbs, and because REST is usually implemented on top of HTTP, although it doesn't have to be. It could be implemented on top of any other networking protocol. This is important. So an HTTP verb is another HTTP verb is called post, and post is what you use for create actions. So when you create an item using REST, okay, so you went to a web form that said new, and that comes back as product/new, and that gives you a get, and then when you do create, it sends the results back via a post. And the reason for a post is a post can effectively handle unlimited amounts of data, whereas a get can only handle about 64K worth of data, and you really don't want to use it for more than maybe a few K. Okay? And one of the things that is the way you can tell a post versus a get is a get has all those parameters, like you'll see a question mark, and you'll see foo equals 1, ampersand bar equals 2, etc. Those variables that you see in an HTTP get, when you see a variable on a URL bar, it's a get. When you don't see a variable, it's a post or a put or a destroy. Okay. So the way your routing layer works is when it sees a post, it sends it to a create action. When it sees a put, it sends it to an update action. And when it sees a destroy, it sends it to a delete action. And I will admit, I can't remember whether the HTTP verb is delete or destroy. I always get them wrong. So, I'm sorry. And I know this particular podcast is less specific than the stuff about databases. And the reason is this is a little bit more abstract. It's harder to do without crib notes. And I have no crib notes because I'm traveling 75 miles an hour in a car to turn around and go and do the same damn thing. But at least I'm not stuck in my house recording these things, which would make me postal because COVID, and we're all getting a little postal. All right. So RESTful architecture. REST gives you a way to build an interface along a collection of data, usually as represented by a database, and do it in a consistent way. This is incredibly valuable because consistency makes a huge damn difference when you build systems. When you have consistent standards and practices, everything is a lot easier. Okay? There are 7 canonical RESTful actions: index, which gives you a list of items; show, which shows you a single item; edit, which gives you a single item in an editing context; new, which gives you a form to create a new item; create, which takes the data in the new form and saves it; an update action, which uses an HTTP put verb, and that saves information back to that saves a changed version of the information back to the database; and delete/destroy. Okay. Other types of things about REST. Can you have a non-RESTful action? Absolutely. So let's say you want to have an index. Let's say you want to have a new action, which is what's called non-RESTful. And can you do that? Yes, you can. Can I give you an example of one off the top of my head? Absolutely not. I am drawing a complete blank because I have, generally speaking, so adopted REST that I don't tend to do non-RESTful actions very often. Okay? A non-RESTful action is declared in your routing layer as a non-RESTful action, and you tell your routing layer whether or not it works with a get, works with a collection or a non-collection. Okay, so it doesn't work on a single or a plural. And in a Ruby on Rails system, your routing layer is defined in the file config/routes.rb. I am not an expert on routes.rb. I have used it for well over a decade, and I still cannot remember all the damn options in routes.rb. Routing is powerful and complex, and when you need to know how to do something in routes.rb, there are better people than me to learn it from. Okay? Generally speaking, when you write, so let's talk a little bit about what our routes.rb file looks like. At the top of our routes file is a declaration that says this is the routing file, and then there are a series of what are called resources defined in it. A resource is a RESTful thing, and that is the name of a controller. And remember, a controller is the thing that defines how you handle the different RESTful actions. Usually speaking, a controller, the model you want in a Ruby on Rails system is called thin controller, fat model. And the idea is all of your controllers are the interface to the data. So your controller talks to the database and just fetches something out and then sends it, puts it in the right format for a template, and then sends that template on. That's all a controller really should do. Thin controller, fat model. The bulk of your work should always be at the model layer. Okay. And one rule of thumb is that your controllers should all pretty much look exactly the same. Okay? So if you think about it, you can even have, so we've talked about controllers in a RESTful fashion. Okay? We've said they're good for databases, but we've said REST is good for databases, but can you use a RESTful architecture in a non-database context? And the answer is absolutely. Okay? So let's talk about a search, right? A search isn't stored to a database, okay? And let's specifically go talk about the website COVID Near Me. So this is covidnearme.org. And when you go to COVID Near Me, one of the things you'll see near the top is a search box. When you click in there, you can type in a zip code or a state. Do not type in a state that's 2 words. It won't work. I'm sorry. I still need to fix that bug. Okay? So you go there and you type in your zip code. 46040. Yes, that's my zip code. Feel free to stop by. I'll feed you a cookie. Not even a web cookie, an actual cookie. Anyway, that controller that's going to hit, well, I looked at it, I modeled that on a RESTful fashion because I look at it as a search as a new piece of data that comes in the system. So there is a controller, and it's got a new action, and that says @q or query, and fetches the query. And then what it does is it does the search and returns the results. So is that a proper RESTful thing? This is a question of interpretation. I actually tend to think so, but other people might take a different opinion depending on their degree of purism about these things, right? People who have computers have opinions. People who write computer stuff have opinions. And that is the conclusion of RESTful architecture. RESTful architecture is a way to model a collection of data, build an interface onto it, and have a set of uniform semantics. Okay? Most of your controllers will all look the same, and that's good because then you don't have to worry about what's called Snowflake Design. Snowflake Design is when you have a system and everything's different, everything's a snowflake. Ideally, you want your controllers, which all basically do the same thing, they talk to a database table, to basically be very similar. Thank you very much. Bye.